So yeah, sorry, Ashley from Zero to Hero. I'd like to thank you for joining us on the webinar this afternoon. I'm joined by both Bobbie and Mike, if you want to give us a little wave. So both these lovely people have worked with Zero to Hero in different capacities over the last few years. And when we're talking about health and immune system, these are my go-tos. So I've invited them today to share, as some of our camp alumni requested, how do we boost the immune system during the current COVID crisis, and also when we find ourselves unusually stuck indoors a lot more isolation, or without our usual support, and how we normally boost our immune system. So I thought it was a really great topic to start our webinars with. And so I'll just throw over to you, Mike, just to quickly introduce yourself, and then Bobbie, just what do you do day to day, and why are you able to comment on this particular topic?
Yeah, great. So hi everyone, I'm Mike. Mike Dyson is my name, and I've been a Chinese medicine practitioner for 14 years. Down in South Freo. So I work with people in a number of different ways for all sorts of different problems, whether it's headaches or migraines or asthma or whatever. So a general practitioner of traditional Chinese medicine, which means I do acupuncture and Chinese herbal medicine, and I also give out sort of diet and lifestyle advice to help people to bring themselves back into balance. So, you know, a broad range of things from a holistic perspective. And the thing with Chinese medicine is that we treat everyone, not so much, we don't treat diseases, we treat the underlying pattern of disharmony in a human. So I'll talk a little bit about how that relates to the current sort of situation, and how we can work on ourselves rather than working on you know, trying to fix a virus. So that's my background. Bobbie.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi guys, I'm a naturopath and I'm a nutritionist at Perth Health and Fertility in City Beach, but now also online. I love my job. I believe in good health at every stage of life, so I'm really thankful to look after families that span many generations. I believe that gaining good health can be simple and even fun, and I believe that your body is brilliant and has a remarkable capacity for health and healing, and we'll talk about that today.
Beautiful, thank you, and thanks for joining us. So I'll start with just a quick update around COVID-19. How has it affected you guys personally, your job, your family, etc.? What's been the impact over there with you? Mike?
Well, for me,
oh,
sorry. For me, we're just figuring this out. For me, for work, it's business as usual, obviously with a little bit of a twist. Most of my consults are now online, and like everyone, we've had to change and adapt a little, which has actually been a little bit exciting, except that I do miss seeing my gorgeous patients in person, but I know that it's not forever. And it's funny, even though we can't see each other in person, I actually feel socially more connected to everyone. I have weekly catch-ups online with friends, family, extended cousins. So far it's brought a lot of us closer together. And then home-wise, nothing much has changed, except that if I do leave the house, if you have to leave the house, then meal prepping and meal planning is really key. And I was really fortunate that my yoga was really quick to move online. And I think the biggest thing that I've noticed is that I have more time, you know, more quiet time, more opportunity to create and make some changes in life that otherwise I might not have had the opportunity to do.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks, Bobbie.
Yeah, so for me, my other job when I'm not in the clinic, I'm working with groups with Zero to Hero and with a few other organisations around you know, positive mental health, preventative mental health, and all of that group work has been cancelled. So I've been sort of winding my clinic back over the last few years. And so that part of things has totally shut down altogether. So I'm left with this clinic, and I've closed the acupuncture side of things because it's a bit too hands-on, and there's an hour or so in the same room sharing the same air. And, you know, I had a few patients in a row last week. I had an elderly person and a cancer patient. It just didn't seem the right thing to keep doing that. So I'm still doing video consults online, which is cool, but there's just not a lot of them kind of happening. So that's probably about 10-20% of my week. And the rest of my week, I've jumped into more planning mode with my group work. I've got a lot of meetings about, designing some new and exciting programs in that space. And I've also jumped into helping out my wife's business. My wife has just taken her business online. So I've recently become a delivery driver as well. I spent yesterday driving around in a van delivering stuff for my wife's business. So I've just had to be really flexible and adaptable. And I think that's probably one of the most important things for me, because losing the ability to do the work that I love was really hard. And that first week, it really hit me and I was really struggling with it. And then I just started to focus on the things that I can do and the ways that I can contribute, because there's a lot of people in the same boat, and just finding those ways that I can help out, whether it's with my wife's business or supporting a friend or whatever that. So I found that really, really enjoyable. So that's me.
Everything else we get to do on top of, being isolated at home is just a bonus, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely brought people down to a slower pace, more so than any advice we've ever received has. So it's a good thing in many ways. So I'm pretty sure it's working live on Facebook now. Excellent. So it wasn't working before. Someone texted me to let me know, and it's now working. So what is happening in our brains and our bodies right now? So I don't know if one of you want to take on brain or body, or from, the side of health that you work, Mike, versus to the side of health that you work, Bobbie. It'd be great to get an idea of what's happening to us right now.
I think right now, if we choose to listen to it, there can be a lot of fear and uncertainty around us at the moment. And from where I work, fear has an incredibly detrimental effect on your immune system. And whilst it's really important to keep up to date with current affairs and the climate at the moment, 5 minutes of news once a day or twice a day is more than enough information that you need to be well informed. And there's so many things that we can't control right now, but there's so many things that we can control. And those are maintaining our positivity, our mental health, our well-being, and giving our bodies the basic requirements to be able to stay healthy and thrive. So I like to encourage my patients to focus on all those things that you can control rather than those fearful things.
Yeah, beautiful. And Mike?
Yeah, so from a Chinese medicine perspective, we're moving into autumn, which is a naturally contracting phase. It's a time of year where the classics of Chinese medicine actually suggest that we should be, working less hours, sleeping more, eating a little bit more, cutting out the things in our life that are a little bit sort of unnecessary. But what's happening, I think, in general, is that that's just being exaggerated. We're having to cut a lot more things back and spend a lot more time at home. So I think it's about finding ways to counter that. I think a lot of us will be finding ourselves a bit sedentary at the moment as competitive sports are cancelled and gyms are closed and a lot of things we love doing are shutting down. I think it's really important for us to find ways to keep our bodies moving. And also, like Bobbie said as well, to prevent ourselves from moving into fear, I think the advice around staying away from the news is good. I think it's important to stay abreast of the news. 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening. I think that's plenty. That's enough for most people. And it's really easy to find yourself spending more time, scrolling through Facebook and checking the ABC News and checking the Financial Review, checking all of the news. So yeah, I think it's important to sort of step away from that and to try and come up with more innovative and creative ways to keep our bodies moving, because I think we're built for movement. I think that's super important.
Yeah, beautiful. I feel like we've jumped from summer to winter very, very quickly, and hibernating or eating and food stores isn't an issue for many people I speak to at the moment.
So it was an amazing day yesterday. It was beautiful.
Yes, it was. Yeah, no, just our behaviours. I'm definitely eating more in isolation. All right, so let's talk about the virus now. So Mike, can you explain why this particular virus is different to any other virus? Why? I mean, if I hear the word unprecedented, 1 in 100 year event one more time, I might need to go into lockdown myself. But why is this virus so different? Why are we treating it differently?
Yeah, so look, there's lots of viruses out there. There's viruses all over our bodies right now. I think it's really important to not go overboard with the hand washing thing, as much as I think hand washing is probably the most important thing we can be doing right now. But it's really easy to fall into that sort of a little bit OCD mindset of viewing all of the viruses and bacteria as the bad guys. We actually need a microbiome. We need a positive, healthy bacteria on our bodies to live. There's a lot of different viruses out there. Some of them are mild, some of them severe. This is a pretty severe one. And it also seems to be quite contagious. And I think the tricky thing with this virus is that the incubation is relatively long. So they reckon it's averaging 5 to 7 days before you catch it to when you start to show symptoms of it. But in some cases, it can be up to 2 weeks. So there's a period which they're now saying is around 24 hours of before you start showing symptoms where you start to become contagious. And so that's where the issue has been, is people have traveled overseas with the virus, not had any symptoms yet, gone to the shops, put their hands all over things, gone back home, and that's how it's spread quite quickly. So it just seems to be very, very contagious. And also because it's new, it's a novel coronavirus, it's new, no one's got any immunity to it yet. So obviously when a bunch of people have had it, a lot of people will get very, very mild symptoms of it and then will become immune for a period of time. Whereas there's no one out there that's immune to it, right? Well, very, very small amount of people that are immune to it already. So it's snuck underneath our guards, and because we're so well connected physically these days with the ability of international travel, it's just gone rapidly all over the world. I think the important distinction is that a virus is not a disease. A virus can cause a disease. It doesn't always cause a disease. And there are things that we can do to help to prevent that virus from causing a disease and from causing the most severe version of it within us. They reckon about 20% of people are getting the most severe version where they need to be potentially hospitalized. And that's the issue we're finding, is that if we get to the stage where there's a large number of people that will get hospitalized, then they'll have to start prioritizing treatments, and people that need medical treatments for other reasons might not get the treatment that they need. So that's why it's so important to lock this down as quickly as we possibly can.
Yeah, beautiful. And Bobbie, have we fought viruses like this before? Have we fought the coronavirus before? Maybe not in this form.
Well, like Mike said, there's germs and there's viruses around us all the time. So I think a really great question to ask ourselves is, so if I sneezed on you, and imagine I was sick and I sneezed all over you as a group, why do some of you get sick and some of you don't? And I think that's the most important question that we can ask ourselves. So like when there's a bunch of you sitting together and another kid comes along and sneezes all over you and shares their germs, how come just some of you get sick but not everybody does? And that's the best question that we could ask. And it's the most important thing I think you guys want to take away from today and understand from today, that there's germs and viruses around us all the time. Then the difference must be, or come down to, the health of our immune system. And this is what's super empowering, because this is something that is within our control when there's so much that's out of our control.
Yeah. And so how do we know if our immune system right now does need support?
So your body's actually really clever, and it's usually goes about its job of healing, like regenerating and repairing without us even knowing about it. But sometimes it does need a little bit of extra help. And these signs might tip you off. You might tire more easily than normal. You might be experiencing tummy troubles. Your eczema's flared up. You're catching repeated colds and flus, and it's taking you a little while to get over them. You're suffering from asthma, or your wounds are really slow to heal. So if your body starts giving you these clues, then it's time to listen and then give it the environment it needs to be well again.
Yeah, beautiful. And Mike, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, number one, all of the things that Bobbie just said are signs of what we would think of as our lung qi being depleted. So the Chinese medicine language is pretty weird. Like I said, we don't treat a virus directly. We treat the pattern of disharmony in our own body. And the coronavirus seems to present as what we would call a damp disease, which sounds a little bit wacky, but when our bodies are a little bit damp, it might be we're more predisposed. So dampness is things like if you're feeling super heavy in your body, like a lot of thickness and fogginess in the head, maybe you've got a bit more mucus in the nose than you'd normally have, your tummy might be full and bloated, bit gassy, bit smelly, farts, that kind of thing. They're all symptoms of what we call dampness. Those are signs that potentially your lymphatic system is a bit clogged up, and you might be a bit predisposed to not dealing with this thing quickly. So one of the best things you can do is start to cleanse your body out a little bit to clear yourself, so that if you do get attacked by not just coronavirus, but any kind of virus or anything, you're just going to cleanse it out of your system a little bit more quickly.
Yeah, and so I'll stick on you, Mike. What are the first steps that we should take to protect ourselves from the coronavirus, from the winter flu? What are some of the external factors? We're all hearing to wash our hands. We're hearing to now cough into our elbow, which is, like you said, that's a new one. But what are some of the other factors we should do to protect ourselves from this particular virus and the flu's coming up?
Yeah, the washing hands thing is super important. There was a study done about 20 years ago in the American military where they had one group just going about their normal business, and the other group, they asked them to wash their hands 6 times, an extra 6 times per day. And what they found at the end of the winter is that group got 35% less cold and flu types, or had 35% less days off work for cold and flu type symptoms. So washing your hands doesn't just protect you from coronavirus, it protects you from head colds, from the flu, from all sorts of different things. So so the coronavirus has a little envelope around it that is dissolved by soap. So if you wash your hands thoroughly before dinner, before breakfast, whenever you get home, I think that's a super important thing. The social distancing is super important. It's not just about preventing us from catching it, it's about preventing us from passing it on to someone who might have an elderly grandmother, a brother with diabetes, a cousin with asthma. So the social distancing is super important. From a Chinese medicine perspective, coming into this time of year, the Chinese claim they invented the scarf to protect them from invasions of colds and flu. So from a Chinese medicine perspective, actually keeping yourself warm this time of year is important. Our body produces a fever to try and kill something off. So if we can stop ourselves from getting to, sitting in a draft, sitting outside for hours at a time, you see young people standing outside of nightclubs with a short skirt and a little, thin top on outside. This is a disaster for the immune system. It's the time of year to start thinking about putting your Ugg boots on, putting a scarf on, putting a warm jumper on, and keeping yourself, protected from the outdoors, and also eating seasonally as well. Moving away from summer things into the more the hearty kind of soups and stews, which have all that delicious, nutritious stuff which boosts the immune system in it.
Sorry, I'm still stuck on you being at a nightclub, Mike. I just wonder when that was. All right, and so Bobbie, so how can we boost our immune system right now coming into autumn and to protect ourselves?
Yeah, totally. So what I was saying before, like if I was to sneeze all over you and you breathe in my bacteria or my viruses, because it's an airborne droplet infection, it's going to go in your nose, it's going to go in your mouth, you'll inhale them, but you've got these beautiful, strong mucous membranes, so you exhale them out again. And that's the most important thing, is the integrity of these beautiful mucous membranes. It's your first line of defense, and to keep them strong and prevent infection coming into your body, this is the lining of your immune system. And how healthy this lining is will determine if the bugs get inside. The glue that holds these mucous membranes together is vitamin A. So vitamin A is what makes these mucous membranes super strong. And the highest form of vitamin A in our diet is actually polar bear liver. But like most things, it's sold out in IGA. And so if most of us haven't eaten polar bear liver recently, then we've got a beautiful mechanism for dealing with this. And that's if we eat orange foods. So orange foods are full of beta carotene, which is actually 2 molecules of vitamin A stuck together. And when we eat zinc, it cleaves these 2 molecules of vitamin A apart. And we've actually got 2 molecules of vitamin A, which is even better than polar bear liver. So that's our first line of defense, keeping our beautiful mucous membranes nice and strong. So like orange foods, dark green leafy foods, foods like pumpkin and sweet potato and carrots, as many vegetables as you can get into. So if you're making a cake, you make it a carrot cake. If you're making a soup, you choose pumpkin soup. You eat your hummus with your carrot sticks. And that's how you'll keep your beautiful mucous membranes nice and healthy. So you breathe the germs in, then you breathe the germs out.
Okay. Are you serious about the polar bear?
I'm really serious, yeah.
How did they discover that? That's what I like. How, like, who looked at the polar bear and
Well,
thought,
liver's really high in vitamin A, but no one really eats liver. So.
And the polar bear is the highest in vitamin A.
Highest one for vitamin A. Yeah.
Wow, this is so interesting.
The little kids love it.
Cool. And then, and so what about vitamin C, Bobbie? I mean, I've heard vitamin C is a protective factor. I mean, on 1,000,001 different blog sites and all sorts. Or I've even heard they're treating coronavirus in hospitals with vitamin C. Does that come into play as well?
Look, there's lots of nutrients for your immune system. There's vitamin A, there's zinc, you need to cleave the vitamin A apart. Of course, you need vitamin C, you need vitamin D from the sunshine. But what's more important is what you're not putting into your body. So when you breathe these germs in and breathe these germs out, and we're assuming that your mucous membranes are really beautiful and the germs didn't get any further. Well, let's say that you don't get enough polar bear liver in your diet and the germs actually make it all the way through into your body. Your second line of defense is your macrophages, and they literally are the Pac-Men of your immune system. They come along, they engulf the bacteria and the viruses, and they destroy them. They're really cool. And the coolest thing about them is what we know is what stops them from working. And you're all going to hate me when I say this. It's sugar. It's having high blood sugar. They did this really cool experiment, and you've heard me talk about this before, Ash. They did this really cool experiment in the 70s where they gave people honey, 100 mils of orange juice, sucrose, fructose, like different forms of sugar. They took their blood and they added a bacteria and a virus, and they watched under a microscope these macrophages and their activity at the half-hour mark, the 1 hour mark, the 2 hour mark, the 4 and the 5 hour mark. And what they noticed was over this period of time, they're asleep. They're asleep on the job. Like, your white blood cells do not work if your blood sugar is high. So you can put vitamin C in, you can put zinc in, you can put in vitamin D, and they're all super important. But if you're eating your healthy breakfast OJ or your Nutrigrain for breakfast and your white bread sandwich for lunch and then your sugary muesli bar for afternoon tea, you've done no immune system fighting all day long.
Right. And so, Mike, is there anything you want to add to that from a Chinese medicine perspective? Is there anything we should be doing over there?
Yeah, just sugar is possibly the most dampening food there is. So I talked about coronavirus as being a damp thing, and being aware of the that clogging up of the lymphatic system and mucus and such things. So from a Chinese medicine perspective, avoiding sugar, avoiding excessive amounts of dairy, avoiding sort of processed foods in general is the best thing you can do to help to clear out your immune system. So from a diet perspective, eat as many vegetables as you possibly can, and avoid processed foods wherever you possibly can are probably the two most important things you can do first step, and then go to the more specific diet advice like Bobbie can give you, or specific for your constitution type that I work with in Chinese medicine.
Yeah.
And other than diet, what else can we be doing to boost our immune system right now?
Mike?
Four pillars of good health in Chinese medicine terms. So diet is one. Like I said, the first thing is eat as many veggies as you can and avoid all sort of processed foods wherever you can. You don't have to be a full-on hardcore Nazi about it, but just as much as you can, avoid those kind of foods. The second pillar of good health is exercise. So like I said, we're all stuck in at home. You've just got to find a way to keep your body moving. Hugely important for the immune system. Rest and relaxation. We know that when you don't sleep well, you are much more likely to catch any kind of cold or virus. So making sleep a real priority is huge. And also we talk about rest and relaxation from a Chinese medicine perspective. So getting enough sleep is number one, but also making sure that you've got relaxing things that you do on a regular basis. For me, I meditate, I take my dog for a walk, I have a few other things. I strum a guitar. There's a few things that I build into my weekly practice that are relaxing to me, as well as making sleep a priority. So diet, exercise, rest and relaxation, and then managing stress. So we talk about maintaining a clear mental state. There's a whole list of things you can do, which links into how to look after your mental health throughout this crisis as well.
Yeah, and so it brings me to that. It's an extremely stressful and anxious time for a lot of people right now, whether it's job related, whether it's the influx of news and stories we're hearing. And at first, it definitely wasn't balanced with good news. There was a lot of fear and a lot of concern out there. How do we support our mind and our mental health while it's dealing with a lot of this stress, anxiety, and even grief and sadness, within the same spectrum?
Well, how do we deal with being in isolation? And I really love this question. I see people that are healthy and that just want to function at their optimum, but I also see people whose health isn't great and they've almost eaten themselves over their lifetime into a bit of a pickle, and their current lifestyle's not working for them. But now that we've been forced to slow down, to stop, and forced to change, it's such a great opportunity to create something different. You've now got the time to reflect on what has been working, what hasn't been working. You can keep the things that are working for you. You can leave the rest behind. You can create your new healthy routine. You can practice it every day. You can nail it. And so when we all come back and we're thrust into the busyness and the rushing around of life again, we've created this new improved way of life. And I think though what's happening isn't great, finding that positive spin on it, because when will we ever have this opportunity again?
Hopefully never.
Yeah.
But yeah, beautiful opportunity to reset. And Mike, anything else you want to add to how we can support our brain and that cortisol and decreasing that?
Yeah. Well, those same four things. So healthy eating, regular exercise, rest and relaxation. And like I said, having a relaxation practice. I often ask patients in my clinic, what do you do on a daily basis to relax? And they just have this confused look in their face. So having a kind of practice of that. And the fourth one is maintaining that clear mental state. There's a bunch of things you can do. Meditation practice, journaling, gratitude practice, self-compassion, I think, is huge as well. To actually have a practice of a daily thing that you do, whether you're making yourself a coffee out of your favorite cup every morning because that's the kind thing you can do to yourself, or whether there's a poem you have written on your bathroom mirror, or a verse you have on your fridge. A self-compassion practice, I think, is huge. A few other things I wrote down earlier is about maintaining connections, because that's just not just good for me. That's good for everyone that I choose to reach out to. Bobbie talked earlier about having lots of chats one-on-one with people now that we're all in this kind of space. Use that opportunity for your own mental health and for the mental health of those around you. There's good evidence that random acts of kindness can improve your mental state. So my thought is, which one of these things can you build into which one of these can you put in your diary? Journaling, meditation, gratitude, self-compassion, random acts of kindness. And Bobbie hinted on something earlier around that process of letting go and using this as an opportunity to rethink. So autumn, from a Chinese medicine perspective, is time to get the pruning shears out, get rid of the stuff we don't need anymore, so we can live simply through the winter. So this might be an opportunity for us to explore, maybe there's things in my life or things that I'm doing or beliefs that I have about myself or practices that aren't serving me that well. Maybe this is a really good chance to go into my bunker and form some new healthier habits.
Yeah, it's definitely providing an opportunity that we've never had before. And similar to Bobbie, I've found an opportunity to actually connect with my friends again and have a chat, because I've always been so busy that, I haven't had that time. Now house party apps like a daily occurrence.
I know, it's because we know where everyone is. They can't get out of it. They're at home.
Yeah, I did send it to my friend. Are you guys available on Sunday night? She goes, hang on, let me check my diary. Yeah, I'm good for
everybody's free.
Yeah, so any other, insights around how this particular time can be good for our bodies and our brains? We've touched on a few of them, but it was a question I gave you guys beforehand. Is there anything that we've missed?
I think just always remember that your body is really clever and that you are designed to be healthy, and we just need to give it what it needs. We determine how healthy we are. We decide what we put in our mouth. We have the control over our health. And in a time, when there's lots of things we can't control, it's really empowering to know that this is something that is within our control. So to focus on those things that we can do.
Yeah, beautiful. And
Yeah, I think there's a real opportunity. So I keep talking about going from autumn into winter. Winter is a time of rest and contemplation. And if you look at that sort of seasonal cycle, we're supposed to spend some time sitting by the fire, drinking a warm soup and thinking about what I want to achieve in the springtime and moving into the summer. And I just think this winter is going to be lengthened. We're going to be at home for a longer period of time. And it's a chance for us to get what I like to refer to as deep rest, not just taking a couple of hours off on a Sunday, but really thinking about how can I build rest and relaxation into my daily practice, and really get some proper deep relaxation time to really refuel our batteries. And while we're at it, use that winter to think about, what sort of things can let go of, what do I want to achieve. It's not even now the time to think about that, but once you've done it for a few weeks, start to think about, okay, what do I want to achieve moving from here? What kind of person do I want to be? So using that sort of extended period of the winter to come out of it really, really clear and really strong in what is my vision for who I want to be and what I want to create as I move back into the springtime when things start to kick up again. So I think it's a great opportunity.
I love that.
It's not an opportunity that I would have chosen, but that's how I'm going to try and take this opportunity.
I know, we've got to spin it though. I love that. You're right. I think the answers come to you in the quiet moments. When you have the quiet, the answers come. When you're busy and rushing and here and there, there's no time for you to listen to your intuition and have the answers come to you. So yeah, I love that.
Totally. And one of the things I always do as part of my relaxation stress reduction practice is to take my dog for a walk. Usually I walk for about 40 minutes. 2 nights ago, I walked for just over 2 hours because I just had the time and I hadn't, not much else on my plate. So I did this massive big loop and I just came back like, I was like a Zen master. It was the best thing in the world. But just that's, taking the opportunity for that deeper sense of relaxation.
Yeah. Awesome. So we'll throw out to the people or our listeners on the webinar, please feel free to type any questions that you have, and both Bobbie and Mike are here to answer those. And what you were seeing me reach for before was a pen that I couldn't find. So I've got my phone and I've been writing down just some key points. So to kind of summarize what we've been saying, to support our immune system right now, we want to eat green food to boost our vitamin A. Correct? Orange food. Sorry, I said green. You said leafy greens, and I got
orange and dark leafy green.
Orange. Yeah. And we need to read our notes. So eat orange food to boost our vitamin A. I'll restart that, and avoid processed foods. And I also heard that our microbiota, is that how our Pac-Man? Is that right?
Your macrophages.
Those.
We want to eat lots of fruits and veggies, especially the orange ones. We want to keep our blood sugar nice and steady, so we keep a little bit of protein with every meal and snack. Go for the whole grain stuff. Skip the white stuff because it turns to sugar really quickly. Avoid the foods high in sugar. Lots of water. Sleep, fresh air, move your body.
And so if we eat sugar, our immune system won't work for 5 hours. So definitely don't do it before bed, is what I heard. And then I'll get Mike to recap his 4 pillars. So in order to boost our immune system, you need to focus on these 4 areas. You don't need to explain them all, just the 4.
Yeah, and they also work for the health of our nervous system and for brain health as well. Exercise, healthy eating, I've got to remember them now, rest and relaxation, and the other one is a clear mental state. So it's interesting from a Chinese medicine perspective, the last 2 are all about chilling out. In the West, we're all about getting things done, but there's a subtle hint there, like if you spend half of your time chilling out, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, we've got the opportunity to. So if anyone's got any questions, please type them. Okay, so we've got one from Ella here. So in terms of chronic pain, what are some of the ways that we can handle that or support ourselves in handling that during a time of less movement?
Well, from a nutritionist point of view and a naturopath's point of view, when you eating a diet that has more fruits and vegetables, because fruits and vegetables are alkaline, and when our body or when our diet is more acidic, so we're not breathing well, we've got more stress, we're eating foods that turn into more acidic compounds in the body, the nociceptors in our body, our pain receptors, are more sensitive. So increase your fruits and veggies, and that helps with your alkaline diet and helps with the pain. That's the biggest thing I would do. Lots of fruits and vegetables.
And so I've got a couple of little small children at home, so I've learned how to like secretly hide fruits and vegetables in like beetroot chocolate muffins and things like that. But how could teenagers get their fruits and veggie intake and even more in a really easy and tricky way that it doesn't taste like you're eating a plate of vegetables every night?
Oh, there's so many online recipes and websites now. There's so many choices. A really great way, like if we just think about nailing breakfast first up, I always think just keep it really simple. Just nail breakfast. You can do, you can keep all your frozen smoothie ingredients in the freezer. You've got your frozen banana, frozen berries, frozen avocado, frozen spinach, your vegetarian protein powder or an egg or whatever you're choosing. You just take your cup there, pack it full of all your beautiful fruits and veggies, blend it up, and then you've got a big selection already and you haven't really tried very hard. So I just think start with one meal, and then expand it out to lunch and dinner. You can sneak them in anything.
One of my thoughts in terms of squeezing in more vegetables into your diet is to think of all of those 3 meals. So start with breakfast, and if you're a toast eater, find the healthiest whole grain bread you can find, but think about putting tomato and avocado on it, or think about throwing some mushrooms through the pan and putting that on your toast, and then thinking about how you're going to squeeze in some veggies into your lunch. How can you just stack more veggies into a sandwich? I sound like I'm advocating a lot of bread eating. It's not that healthy. But think about how to squeeze it in at every possible opportunity. And the snack foods we just have out on the counter at our house is a big bowl of fruit and nuts. So a handful of nuts, fruits, it's a really good way to squeeze it in there. And also, now is an amazing time to learn to cook. If you've got a bit more time, there's online cooking tutorials everywhere. So start with the veggies that you actually like and find a million new ways to cook those and trying to squeeze more of the good stuff in there.
And think colour, all the colours of the rainbow. Yeah.
Everyone has the opportunity at the moment to cook breakfast at home, so no excuses. You don't have to rush out to school.
I got a couple of points on Ella's question about chronic pain as well. Is that from a Chinese medicine perspective, we often talk about movement rather than exercise. So in some ways, moving our bodies is just important, which is why I took my dog for a 2.5-hour walk the other night, because sometimes it's those lower impact forms of exercise that might not feel like you're doing much, but they're actually really, really, really good for you. So if all you can do is take your dog for a walk around the block, definitely do that. Or find other ways to you've got to get creative and find ways to find that movement. And the other thing is with chronic pain is very, very closely linked to stress and the mindset as well. So if you don't have a mindfulness or a meditation practice, now's a good time to get some guidance and get some support and really, really work on that. Meditation's a skill. Like, we're not born with it. And a lot of people jump into it thinking it's going to be easy. But if you practice and practice and practice, you'll start to find it's really useful. So it can be useful for some people with chronic pain.
Yeah, beautiful. And so Emily's asked, she has siblings on the autism spectrum with restrictive diets. What are some ways they can boost their immune system and get the necessary vitamins?
I just always come back to basics. Even though they've got restrictive diets, I imagine it might be, I imagine the foods that it'll be. But if you just always think, first and foremost, how can I keep my blood sugar nice and steady? And that's by not eating foods that make your blood sugar spike up really high, drop down really low, spike up really high, drop down really low. You anchor all your meals with a little bit of protein. Like every meal, every snack, a little bit of protein, whether it's meat, fish, chicken, eggs, full fat dairy, or you're vegetarian and you're combining your protein. So you've got your legumes or your nuts and seeds like Mike mentioned, or your seeds and your whole grains. So you're getting a complete protein. And within that, even though there'd be foods that they're avoiding, they could definitely be anchoring their blood sugar with protein. And having a stable blood sugar also means that their brain has sustained fuel, and their brain is not without fuel. So they've got more control over their thoughts, they've got more control over their actions. So it's good for their immune system, but also for brain function. That would be the fundamental. Beautiful protein, and then lots of veggies, whichever ones they like. If they've got you know, they have aversions to particular vegetables, just choose the ones you like and get those in.
Yeah, and if people find that they're not getting enough of the vitamins in the food that they're eating daily, especially at this particular time when shopping has become a bit of a challenge, are you pro, against supplements, vitamins, etc., etc.?
I think, well, for the immune system, we know vitamin A is really important for our mucous membrane health. We also know that there's a tolerable limit of vitamin A for some people. We know that zinc is really important for the immune system, and vitamin C. I would never prescribe vitamin D to someone that I never met or without knowing their vitamin D levels, because it's a fat soluble vitamin, so you store it in your body. But you can go out and get some sunshine for sure, and easily, you know, boost your vitamin D. But they're definitely the key ones. And there's some probiotics as well, like certain probiotic strains that are really good for your immune system. Yeah, that would just be the basics.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'd prefer to get it in food, but I do know teenagers and sometimes, and I know little children, sometimes it isn't always possible, especially if you're traveling, which isn't a problem at the moment. But yeah, we're not in our ordinary.
Vitamin C and then some sunshine.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And Mike, anything on herbs or the Chinese medicine response to that?
Yeah, the Chinese view is to work on the body's ability so that your diet can become less restrictive. So that's generally how we try to approach that. Yeah, it's a little bit of a different and more of a complex. So it's a complex question to answer that one. But we will try to work on it so that you can potentially help to get it so that you can eat more of those foods. So we ideally are not avoiding a lot of foods for a long period of time. There's obviously some of us have to avoid certain foods, but the more severely restrictive diet indicates, from a Chinese medicine perspective, maybe we can improve the gut health or whatever it is to make it so that you can actually start to digest some of those foods better and knock a few of those things off the restricted list.
Yeah, awesome. Another question. So Jadzia has asked, what foods are best to eat for those that are low in iron that can also help boost the immune system? So there's iron-rich foods.
Is this me or Mike?
Yeah, we tend to do that kind of stuff through herbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I love that. That's fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, you might know foods more specifically than me.
Yeah, so the foods that are high in, you've got heme iron and you've got non-heme iron. So heme iron is your iron from animals. So red meat is the most easily absorbable form of iron. And if you don't like to eat, you know, like a steak, or you can eat mince, you can put it in spaghetti bolognese. You know, there's lots of other options you can get your red meat in. There's kangaroo and lamb and things like that. That's the most easily absorbable form of iron for your body. And then you can get iron from vegetable sources. It's just harder to absorb. And then you just have to think about all the reasons why you might not be absorbing your iron. Are you drinking lots of black tea? Are you drinking lots of milk, which makes it harder to absorb your iron? Are you, gluten intolerant, which makes it difficult to absorb iron? So getting it from your sources, but then also making sure that you're absorbing it is a good way to look at it from both sides.
And then also, so someone's asked, Mike, what are some herbs that can help your immune system during this time?
Yeah, so look, the way Chinese medicine works is that we'll make a specific formula for an individual. So I don't dispense any sort of like one herb or over-the-counter type formulas. There is a group of 5 herbs that have been used previously for similar type of epidemics, for the SARS virus epidemic, and also was used for swine flu as well. And that's a combination of herbs that I can dispense. So I can, if you're interested in herbs, I can have a chat and go through and work out what's best for you. But if you just want to go into a health food shop and look for something off the counter, astragalus is the first one to look for. So there's combinations you can get which will have astragalus and zinc and some other things, or a combination of herbs with astragalus. And the other one that you can get from health food shops, the easier ones is Armour Force, which has andrographis and echinacea and vitamin C and a few other things. Look, I think it's always the best approach to see a professional like Bobbie or someone like myself to get a more tailored, specific to you kind of a remedy that can boost your immune system in the way that your immune system needs us, because each of us is different. But there are a few things you can do over the counter. So your zinc, your vitamin A, your vitamin C. Astragalus is the big one that comes to me.
Yeah, beautiful. Are there any other questions before we close this off? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I feel like we got off easy.
Oh, here we go. All right, this is a decent question from Harry, one of our beautiful counselors. He's got 2 questions. I'm not going to read this out loud because I did that the other day and it didn't work well for anyone listening. Last year he got sick and it progressed into a heart condition, so myopericarditis. Can anyone pronounce that?
Myopericarditis.
Thanks, Mike. Good one. I should just stop having a crack, really. It cleared up, but then he got sick again and got another occurrence of Mike?
Pericarditis.
Great. Thankfully now I'm all cleared up and I've been living like a healthy 18-year-old, and having said that, my cardiologist believes that my immune system could be somewhat compromised. I've noticed that I get sick a lot more, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, quite common for when a teenager experiences something like that, or even a glandular fever or something, that their immune system is quite compromised after that. So how could he boost his immune system as a teenager? And he's also taking him long to recover from physical activity. He's a martial artist. Yeah, does karate. Awesome. Great. Oils, herbs, anything that, what should he incorporate to boost his immune system, not just to protect from what's going on at the moment and coming into winter, etc., but because of what he's had in the past? I know it's a pretty complex question and you'd probably want to individually consult with Harry. However, is there something he should be doing to help him recover after physical activity with an already low immune system?
Yeah, breathing activity. So qigong, tai chi, yoga, these sorts of things for building the lung chi is super important. So that's the first thing I'd try and add in. You know, more long-term things like I just mentioned, astragalus and these sorts of things for prevention of flus. Same thing for you, Harry. Just take it long-term, because your chi is depleted now. Now is your opportunity to sort of build it back up again. And so I'd be looking at like a comprehensive sort of a plan over, you know, 12 to 24 months of taking things like astragalus. The other ones are Lingzhi. There's a bunch of medicinal mushrooms you can get from Chinese medicine that will boost your lung chi and your immunity, and also mushrooms in general, which is one that hasn't come up so far, but that's good for everyone for boosting the immune system. So breathing exercises after the physical activity are a really important thing to get the oxygen flowing again, particularly if it's been infections related to the heart. And then looking long-term at things like astragalus, and there's a few other herbs that you could do. I could certainly do a consult with you and come up with a more specific plan, but certainly looking at anything you can do to build your immune system, but looking at it long-term and just not overdoing it. Karate and the martial arts are perfect exercises for you to be doing, because a lot of them are linked to the more health build. They're often very health conscious, the martial arts, and there's things like Tai Chi and Qigong, which are effectively a form of martial arts, but they're specifically just for health. So there's usually a level of health preservation in most of those martial arts practices. So those are probably there was also a question of what's your secret Dit Da Jiao recipe? I'm not familiar with Dit Da Jiao.
I skipped over that particular part because
yeah.
it was another, I'm going to pronounce this incorrectly. So I just heard oils and herbs. So yeah, should we put that one? We'll get back to Harry when we
Anything about oils.
I'll do some research on that one, but keep breathing, keep doing the karate, and find some strategies. Be worth seeing someone like Bobbie or myself to come up with a personalized strategy that you can stick with long term over a period of months, even a couple of years, to get yourself back into a really strong place. Because that'll take some time to get over. You've had a serious situation there that you know, need to give your body a bit of a chance to get over it.
Yeah, and having someone, you know, check out what is actually, what are you eating, what is your diet like, and where are your nutritional deficiencies, you know, whether it be through a blood test or, you know, things that you need for your immune system. What's your full blood count like? What's your iron like? What's your vitamin D like? What's your zinc like? Your copper like? All those things that you need for a fully functioning immune system, you know, and plugging up those holes and then seeing, you know, what happens after that. So
awesome. And then the last question here, if anyone else has got a question, quickly pop it up, but does lead to the last question on here, which is how do our viewers get in contact with either of you? How do they get a consult? How are you working during COVID, etc.? So I might start with you, Mike, and then move to Bobbie.
Yeah, so you can get a consult with me via my website. If you just, I'll type it in there in a sec. FremantleChineseMedicine.com is my web address. I've got a, I'm practicing basically over Zoom like this. So I'll do a consult with you, and I can either post a herbal formula out to you. I can give you a whole bunch of more specific advice specific to your situation, or you can swing past my clinic and pick up herbs from our little drop-off point. So yeah, Fremantle Chinese Medicine. You can send me an email that way, and we can tee up a chat and go through a plan that's specific to you.
He's very good.
And Bobbie, how do they get in contact with you, Bobbie?
I work from Perth Health and Fertility. We're in City Beach, but obviously, you know, we're also online. www.perthhealthandfertility.com. All our information is on there. You can send us an email or phone call. Yeah, it's really easy to find us.
All right, I'm just typing Bobbie into, and Mike did himself, great. So their websites are up there, so you can speak to either of those, and I'm sure they can get in contact and ask if they've got any other questions. Any last magical piece of advice? So eat more orange food, get enough rest, decrease sugar. Oh, actually, one thing I did want to ask you about, Mike, was sleep and the role, you know, I've seen you posting a little bit on social media, etc., around the importance of sleep. How much sleep should they be getting?
I think that's a really good question. Firstly, the studies show that people that get less than 6 hours sleep have significantly compromised immune system, and most of the studies show that more than 7 hours is better. Some people need more sleep than that. I think you've just got to know yourself well. I'm an 8 hours plus type of a person, and I know that I don't feel well if I'm just getting by on 7 hours of sleep. That's not enough for me. So I think it varies. And certainly teenagers sometimes need more sleep, and there's some biorhythms around sleep, you know, allowing yourself to have a sleep in, and it's an opportunity to change your uni roster or your school roster if you want to have a sleep in and do some work later in the afternoon. Sometimes that's okay for you at the moment. I don't have an exact number, and it varies upon the individual. Some people it might be 9 hours. If it's less than 7, it's not enough.
Yeah, and I think at this time, because we're not at school, we're a little bit tempted, like the routine goes out the window, we're staying up late, we're watching Netflix, we're playing our, you know, computer games, and now is the really important time that we go to bed at our normal time and we get all the sleep that we need. So now is the important time that that our bedtime doesn't get thrown out the window because everything's changed. And if you, or I like to say to my kids, if you turn your alarm off and you sleep into late morning and into lunchtime, well, then that's how much sleep you need. You're catching up on all the sleep that you have been deprived of. So keep sleeping. And when you wake up is when you wake up.
There you go. Tell your parents that.
Yeah. Remember, you know, your parents are like, it's 11 a.m., get out of bed. But that's how much sleep that we needed.
I love it. All right. So any parting advice before we clock off?
Yeah,
it knows what to do. Just give it what it needs.
Totally. And I was just going to say, look, I think it's good to have all these plans ideas in place of the things I'm going to do. But we tend to, there's a classic saying, we don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. So I think it's good to have things in your diary, have someone who's going to check on you, whether that's your mum or your auntie or your best mate or whoever, someone that's actually going to check in with you and say, did you do that meditation this morning? Have you been taking those herbs you got? Have you been doing the exercise thing? So think about something you can have in place, checks and balances to keep you to do those healthy things, because it's really easy to be unhealthy in the modern world. There's unhealthy food everywhere. There's screens that we can just stare at 24/7. So you've got to come up with a bit of a plan and have a structure. So on the one side, I'd say make a plan that you can stick to. And on the other side, be kind to yourself. It's a difficult time. Everyone's going through rough stuff, and just remember to be kind to yourself and be kind to other people. That's all I got.
Yeah, awesome. So thank you to Mike and Bobbie for joining us. Their details are there, and we've recorded this, so we'll make it available to other people if they want to view the webinar. So just let us know if you've listened along and you've heard stuff that you thought would be really great for your mum or, you know, your brother, sister, friend, etc. We'll make that recording available for you. And I'll just part with, this is an amazing opportunity. You know, as much as it's turned life on its head, it is an amazing opportunity for us to reset and for us to kind of recalibrate our brain is the word I wanted to say. Clearly I need to rest. You know, to get that sleep, to go back to basics, go back to what life's really about, to check in with our family, have dinner again every night, get sufficient sleep, and then also, you know, do some of that self-care stuff that we've always wanted to do but haven't had the space or freedom to do. So we could view it as something that's happened to us out of our control, and you know, we're now without a job, or, you know, we're without our the concerts we wanted to go to or the events we wanted to go to. Or we could view this as a 1 in 100 year event that's giving us the opportunity to reset, that we will likely never ever get again, and we're getting it collectively. So everybody's in the same boat, everybody's behind at work, or finding it difficult to get motivated, or you know, do life as we normally do life. So take that opportunity, listen to your body, like Bobbie said, give it what it needs, and yeah, boost your immune system to protect yourself, but also be kind and compassionate to yourself and others during this interesting and wonderful time. So thank you to Mike and Bobbie, and hopefully some of our listeners will get in touch with you guys and you'll be able to support them with their specific needs. And thank you for everyone that jumped on, and also for those that asked those questions and introduced themselves. We appreciate it. Have a good night, and I'll see you guys soon.
Thanks everyone. Thanks for coming.
See you later.